Goblins in video games are really odd. In a usual sense, they are almost exclusively evil green little bastards that are early level and are made to die. However, in more recent years, you get a more dismal and very gritty take like Goblin Slayer, who turns them into horrible Viking-esque pillagers and raiders that can't understand the word consent. And then you have the time I got reincarnated as a slime, where goblins are just misunderstood people and given the chance have a heart of gold. And then there are games that try to make a spin-off off of them, kind of like Dragon's Dogma, where they're not like flesh and bone, they're like little forest sprites that are more impish in nature and like to just fuck around and be general little assholes, so I guess not that far off, just they don't bleed, I guess. And then, more recent nature is in Baldur's Gate 3, goblins are shockingly diplomatic in nature and having a community with settlements that allow travelers to go to and fro.
Nah, you're all hot air. Nice bit of war paint will put you in your place.
Go on. Don't skimp, neither.
So long as you have the same beliefs, let's just say.
It's still warm.
But talking about this fascination to friends, they mention that this isn't new, and it's a lot like the Goblin Network from World of Warcraft. I have a collective 0 minutes in World of Warcraft, considering the only WoW Blizzard game I actually played was Warcraft 2 on the PS1, I believe, when I was a kid. Since me owning my own computer and inching more and more into the competitive games like League of Legends, one of my all-time favorite games, despite being abandoned, is Heroes of the Storm. If those who watched my previous Bone Daddy episode about Leoric and to this day I still find myself playing hours, I have my, mains here and there. I like my Leoric, I like my Anubarak, I like my Diablo. But there's always one that I go back to whenever I just want to guarantee a win for myself, or if I want to try hard, or just overall have a good old time, win or lose, I don't really care. I always go back to my lord, my king, my true ruler, Gazlow. Monty Gazlow is a 4-foot-tall little green guy with yellow eyes and kind of like a New Yorkin or kind of Boston accent.
Hey, time is money, friend, and you're out of both. This thing's a miracle of goblin engineering.
From my calculations, he's currently 52-ish, and close friends call him Gazzy, which I think is just adorable. In World of Warcraft, he is a pilot of a big old robot mech, which may or may not have the name Chopper, or have something called the name Chopper. But in Heroes of the Storm, he's wearing a big-ass mech as a backpack, which looks fucking painful for anyone in their 20s with back problems. I can't imagine him being in his 50s. Gazlow is a very peculiar character, where he has an extensive background, but not a lot of lore per se. Especially for as a character as old as he is. Gazlow is a prominent but forever small character who, though, is always reoccurring for the Horde mainly in World of Warcraft. Let's just do a please note that I don't know World of... However small, Gaz is iconic from the Great Warcraft 3 and the World of Warcraft. If the World of Warcraft RPG is canon, I've heard conflicting sources on that. Gazlow's childhood was that he was a thief, snatching his gold from others and acquired enough money to start a business that grew to be successful, basically. He was commissioned by Thrall, at the time, I believe, the chief of the orcs from the Horde, after the Third War, and helped in the creation of Orgrimmar, and projects also becoming the chief engineer. This was in Warcraft 3 now, where his importance was shown, where he was on this big, monstrous task to gather a source of life, also known as water. There's some cute stories here, one being him commanding Rexxar to kill some kobolds. Gazlow does have more to do as a character in some of the books, but there's just not going to be mentioned here, as they're more so just adventures and nothing of true significance happened. not that I could tell. Officially settled on the coast of Orgrimmar, where its completion due to its handsome reward for the creation of the city, creating a settlement called Ratchet, and essentially becoming the leader. Gazlow is a kind of guy who just hates loss of profits to the point where intervening with questionable morality. Rear Admin Hartley, I think, blocked the Ratchet port from the Horde, and in return Gazlow and company just fucking sank his ship, and, and just to be like, fuck you, my money. Just to show you that Gazlow, if even shoved slightly, he will kill you. Gazlow is a very, ultimately, I think, small character, but because he's so old, he was just like used a lot, and so he has a lot of depth. I don't know if anything happened in Shadowland or Dragonflight. My Discord DMs are always open, link in the description below. In the reference I used in the lore was by the creator of Lost Codex, which a video link of that video will be in the description, and I used just the several WoW wikis just to give me a basic idea. But let's get to the meat and potatoes of the things that I actually truly know about Gazlow. So, like all heroes, Gazlow has 3 abilities, and then you can select 1 out of 2 ultimates, and he has a passive. So, Gazlow's Q is that he creates a turret that deals 36 damage and lasts for 15 seconds. Turrets will prioritize the nearest enemy to the hero when first created. This is essential and his bread and butter to dealing any real significant damage, and especially later on. This is what you use when you camp, when you team fight, when you siege, and when you win, you will be using your turrets all the way through. 36 damage seems very small at first, but when you have an indefinite number, because there is no turret count that you can have, that 36 stacks up extremely fast. Gazlow's W is Deathwing. After 0.65 seconds, you deal 175 damage straight in front of you in a line that you can choose, and then you heal for 25% of that damage dealt. This is increased to 75% when it's against heroes. This is Gazlow's one and only heal pop that recharges insanely fast with only 8-second cooldown at base level 1, and with a few other upgrades, this becomes a pretty formidable ability that you should actually be scared of. Gazlow's E, Explodium Charge, is his only CC in the base kit. So you can throw a bomb out that deals about 150 damage to enemies within a target, and then after a little bit it explodes and then the enemies are stunned. This is extremely good for positioning, and the 1.25 seconds is a lot sooner than you may think. This is essential for pretty much everything Gazlow needs to do. For sieging, it works really well. For camping, it works really well. For objectives, it's extremely well because it forces the enemies out or they get stunned, so they can all get bullied by your team. Gazlow's passive is Reduce, Reuse, Recycle. So Gazlow was reworked a little while ago, and basically what the biggest rework did was he took out his mana and gave him scrap and blue lace. So you can regenerate 1 scrap every 4 seconds, and destroyed rocket turrets can also drop a scrap. Scrap is the main currency in which you need to spend to cast turrets, which is why there is no indefinite limit to how many turrets you can cast at the same time. So your only limit to how much turrets you get is how much scrap you can create, and you can activate it. You can tap D to activate it to purposely destroy a rocket turret if it no longer is serving a purpose to get that extra scrap. To play Gazlow effectively, you need to master the skill of D. Gazlow's first ultimate choice is Robo Goblin, which you can activate for a quick 1.5 seconds to become unstoppable, which is kind of like a CC pop, so you can't get rooted, you can't be asleep, you can't be stunned, all that stuff, which is okay, but the real bread and butter of the passive comes with his basic attacks now deal 90% bonus damage over 5 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. What this means basically is Gazlow's attacks become an actual threat, like a kind of like a melee assassin, and on top of that, it's a bleed, so it can really chip down tanks that have really good passive regen. And Gazlow's other ultimate is essentially a better version of Explodium Charge with the Grab Bomb 3000. After a 1.5 second delay, pull enemies towards the center of an area that deal 220 damage. Basic attacks and abilities deal 30% more damage for 5 seconds after casting it. Now, the biggest combination, like the most like classic Gazlow combo, is you Grab Bomb, Explodium Charge into Death Laser, and it would chunk pretty much the entire team with well placed properly fairly well. And on top of like a Diablo ultimate or any other sort of like condensed CC, it is a very, very good team fight ultimate. Gazlow in the game is odd. Before the Goblin Man we know today, back in, I think, August of 2020, when the game back had a life, I guess, Gazlow had a rework because he was kind of shit. Horrible mana, no defenses, he had utility, but he had no like traversals at all. But the rework that they added, a lot of people do not like because they weakened him offensively, but gave him everything else he needed to excel, in my opinion. And Gazlow is very slept on, just as how he was once before the rework. I think people just bitched because those very few who did play him were really good at him, but now he's a lot more accessible to a lot more people, which I think is ultimately more important. Because before, Gazlow was very niche. If he got caught, he died. But now Gazlow can, under the build that I prefer to play with him, a body of fucking destruction, and can body an entire team and siege almost as well as an actual siege champion, and it's ridiculous. Let's get into how to build my main, the Gazlord. So for his level 1, we're going to go with Big Game Hunter, which is essential to being a menace. So Gazlow no longer uses mana for any of his abilities. Since his rework, he now uses a thing called Scrap, and that is exclusively for his turret casts. His other abilities are completely free. They just have a CDR. So basically, this means that early on he has a massive advantage against camps and early team fights, just to at least like poke. He's very good at that. But Big Game Hunter basically allows it so that any melee attack on camps or heroes takes a significant chunk out of the recharge bar to generate scrap. So basically this lets you put up turrets faster, and can very early on, Gazlow can pretty much, aside from like boss camps, can take down any camp within the first minute of any game, giving you an immediate advantage right off the bat. For his level 4, we're going to go with Hyper Focus Coils. Death Laser and Explodium Charge deal 2% max HP. This will make it so it would always scale with no matter who you fight, and so it will always hit as hard and never really fall off. On top of that, Gazlow will heal for 150% of the damage dealt. This is essential for going against tanks and bruisers because he will always outlive anyone, especially in team fights where that damage gets accumulated over multiple enemies, to really make you fight for as long as you can, and on top of that, hurting the enemy, and on top of that, making them get CC, and on top of that, buying every essential second you need for an ally to come and help you. For his level 7, we're going to go with Goblin Fusion. So Gazlow's Death Laser now generates scrap, 3 scrap per hero, which is insane, and I'll tell you why. So if you place down all turrets, Gaz can have a max of late game 8 to 10 turrets with a single team fight and become a problem that will be hard to get close to toe-to-toe with. So the trick here is you drop all your turrets down as fast as you can because there's no recharge in dropping them, and then you hit them with a Dead Laser, and that lets you drop down at least 1 more. So you can go up, you can start a team fight with 4 turrets, each shooting enemies you can command. So you can become a problem pretty fast with it, and it's super good for late game. Oh my god, it's probably one of his most important abilities. So it's a guaranteed essential. And for his ultimate, we're gonna go with Robo-Goblin. I get what you're thinking. Hey, Dauntless, wouldn't the good suck be better? Wouldn't Grab Bomb just be better ult? Well, technically you're not wrong. It's usually the better ult to pick universally. It has good CC, the cooldown's pretty good, and it's really good for team fighting, and it's really good for force positioning. You're right, I do. But with how I play, I try to snipe all mercenary camps as soon as I can for map dominance, and with this ult, which is a passive, is very, very good. Gazlow has enough buttons to press in my opinion. He has the 5 plus an additional 2 with his passive and with his 1, which the 1 can command the turrets to attack where you want. This ult gives his autos a very nice bleed stacking effect, which can also help further chip away at tanks. Probably not tanks like Anubarak, which in my opinion kind of give him a hard counter because Anubarak has such a high base regen that the bleed won't really be doing much. But at the same time, this pretty much helps you fight against anyone squishy, because even if you die, they still take damage for a considerable amount of time and damage. You can also pop your R for a nice, but albeit little too small. Burst of CC immune. This allows you to run first thing in first without getting any slowdown, rooted, stuns, or sleeps. And allows you to get really in there. And also just to prevent anything that can stop you from getting away as well. It's a perfect anti-wall that Gazlow needs, in my opinion, and especially when you're trying to like combat in like boss camps, it's really good. It's a shame that it's only like it's like 1.2 seconds, which is just nothing. It's just a quick burst. I really wish it was like 5 seconds, or more like Olaf from League of Legends, where it lasts for 1.2 seconds, but the more you auto, the more that duration gets extended. So the more aggressive you are, the more you reward it. I think something like that would be a lot better, but we're stuck with what we got. And I think ultimately it's not as good, but the passive of the ult itself really makes it stand out and really changes Gazlow to be a lot more offensive, especially considering he got nerfed a lot in the offensive field. So for his level 13, we're going to go with superior schematics. This is really the only choice here, in my opinion, has any practicality. It really just gives you less to think about, in all honesty. So, but all turrets from now on can fire 3 different targets at once. They cannot focus fire, so 3 shots cannot hit 1 target, which is unfortunate, which would make this probably the most busted level in existence. However, this is where it does ridiculous damage, because not only does it attack 3 separate targets, but can also deal an additional 30% range, which is where the siege low comes into place with Gazlow. You can topple an entire base in a fraction of a time, because remember, if you put down 3 turrets, that's 3 different targets that are going to hit it. So that's a turret, that's a gate, that's a wall, all with 1 turret. Not to mention, you can still do your bleed proc on the buildings. You can still cast your abilities and all that stuff. So buildings and towers do not last long. Not to mention, it makes every camp, regardless of camp, just that much more easier, because you can also put turrets behind you so they don't get focus fired, so you can just really rinse out as much damage as you can. And it's super easy to just stack up that number fast, and it really accelerates Gazlow even more, which is kind of crazy because he kind of ramps up really fast. For level 16, we're going to go with Arc Reactor. So Gazlow's bombs now drop 3 small turrets that fire at the enemy that was hit by the explosion. This ability is used and cooldown is reduced by 3 seconds, and this one is hard because all the options here are really good for this build, but I choose this one because the bomb in this build is Gazlow's only CC, and the reduced cooldown really helps any mistakes that would happen, making punish windows ever so slightly less punishing, and also it's just more damage also because it's more turrets that can be focus fired. Granted, they have a very temporary life, but they hurt as much as a normal turret. So again, it just helps you further with siege low, pushing top when you need to go break a couple bases. Ultimately, this one is a little bit biased. I think it does have merit. None of them are necessarily bad, but I think in every case I would go for this one. Now, for his ultimate ability, or his level 20, I would always exclusively go, it's Raining Scrap. Turrets cost less and drop more scrap. Turrets cost 1 less scrap and then drop 2 scrap in addition. So basically, turrets cost 3 and drop 2, which is just like the turret revolution now. Keep in mind that all the other abilities are good, right? The passive's good for the ultimate, and everything else is good. But this one is just ridiculous. But I'll tell you why the other ones aren't in my priority. So the extra stun bomb drop can't really be aimed and can be dodged with ease. If you walk left or right, unless you use the Charlize Theron thing, it's only okay. The only passive you get is 50% more damage to be stunned or slowed. Heroes' autos increase Gazlow's defense up to like 30% reduction, which is very good. But at level 20, most bruisers will be able to shred Gazlow because they themselves have something that can pierce armor or do % damage or have ridiculous healing. So at that point, Gazlow really needs to back off and doesn't truly excel from melee as much, but you still need the melee in case you have to fight, or if you want to sneak a camp here and there. In a team fight, Gazlow in the front lines won't be able to really last that much at this point, but if he hides behind everyone and puts down a shit ton of turrets, that's a lot of passive damage that the enemy won't be able to counter because the entire team should be taking front force for you. And Gazlow, he won't die in one hit because he has all this healing and he has all this firepower, but at level 20, Gazlow really needs to take a step back, and he excels in the mid to back lane of every fight. I will be the first one to say that Gazlow is not the best in the game. He only truly excels in very fast camping and late game sieging. But Heroes of the Storm is a game where everyone ultimately has just some broken aspect to them. You just need to know how to unlock them. Some are a lot easier than others. The reason why Gazlow became Gazlord is because late game, he is such a nuisance, you know? If you ignore Gazlow, you lose. There's no real way to it. He will snare everything. He will steal everything. So, Gazlow, despite me not giving like a fraction of a shit of World of Warcraft or its lore or its gameplay or its story, I don't care about any of it. I really don't. Gazlow, as a character exclusively him, though, will always have a warm place in my heart, and I really do enjoy him in-game. Granted, I first really played Gazlow because he was goofy and he was funny. I really liked his voice. That helped. To this day, he is still my, like, what do I call it? Like the announcer in game. And I don't think that's ever going to change. And with time, I've just realized how to actually utilize him and how to actually be good with him and to see his strengths in a sea of weaknesses in comparison to someone like Leoric or hell, even someone like Zagara, who those two characters are like one side of Gazlow, because Gazlow isn't one role. He is ultimately a bunch of other roles combined that you just need to know when is the right time to use. And so I have I have a video here that I recorded that will basically show you exactly what I mean and everything, and why I choose these levels that I do and how I play and everything. So I do hope you enjoy. Thank you very much.
Oh, who's a handsome little guy? You are.
What do you say? Ready to have a little fun?
Sure, I'm game. So, yeah, we're starting this thing in 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's fighting time. I'm going. Kill switch engaged. I'm going. Kill switch engaged. First blood! Servo's whirring!
Keep it up, partner.
Hey, we did it! I never doubted us. Pick a talent. Oh, Clara can handle that. Well, this has been fun.
The altars will rise shortly, heroes. Be ready. You must capture them quickly.
I require a
Go forth and claim the altars in my name. The Raven Lord demands it.
You are no longer welcome here, Raven Lord.
Group up with me.
Ooh, kablamo! Grind in gears. You are terminated. Pick a talent.
This realm will be mine, and mine alone.
Oh, yup. They're dead. I'm going. Hey, thanks. Servo's whirring. Hey, good night. Hey, you, don't need that wallet
Excellent.
anymore, do ya? No need to be pushy. Killing spree. Ooh, it's all tingly. You are terminated. Nope. Oh, they're still squirming. Gross. Boom! 2 for 1 fail.
Prepare yourselves, heroes. The altars rise.
I'm getting out of here. Ugh, this thing is heavy.
I require assistance.
The time is now, heroes. Claim the altars in my name. I am lord of this realm, and it will not be stolen from me.
Pick a talent.
Enough of this charade. Bring down the Gravekeeper's core.
Our ally needs help.
Yeah, baby.
Excellent.
Terminate this hero.
Fire upon the core! Shatter it!
Victory over. Kaput.
I will guard your back.
Huh? Oh, yeah, sure. Punch it!
As I tell you, Horizon
Hey,
is
don't
one
forget
of
to
my
check the pockets.
favorite tales.
What? 2-for-1 sale!
Yes!
Ooh, it's all tingly. That's 3. Ooh, that had to hurt.
Kill confirmed.
You'd better hurry. The altars rise again.
This thing is heavy. I'm loving them heels. Hey, we did it!
I
never
require
doubted it.
assistance.
Oh, nice explosion!
Kill switch indeed.
I give it an 8.
Take the altars and put an end to the Gravekeeper.
Pick a talent. Whoa.
The altar is ours. Fire upon the Gravekeeper. Doom to the Gravekeeper.
Huh? Oh, yeah, sure.
You have done well, heroes. Let the Gravekeeper know my power.
I will not return to those wretched mines!
That's what this baby is built for. It's okay. Just run back to your corpse and... Oh my gosh, it's gone! I guess you'll have to wait. So, we just lost the fort.
It is nearly time.
My many tales of sanctuary.
I'm okay, I'm okay. Ugh, this thing is heavy.
Lay claim to the altars. Do not disappoint me.
You will fall, Raven Lord. This is the way of the Nexus.
Ugh, this thing is heavy. I am with you. Hey, remember when you died? Oh, yeah, that just happened. Never mind.
Well struck.
Oh, 2-for-1 sale. Oh, totally worth it. Ooh, I've been eyeing that.
Tales.
I'm okay, I'm okay. Oh, there goes a fort. That's so neat. On top of it.
Once more, the altars rise from the depths. Heroes, I have opened a tunnel near our core that leads to the Battlegrounds center. Use it well.
What? I mean, I knew I could do that. I've opened my tunnel as well.
Get out of there! Dummy!
Hey, we did it!
The altars have risen. Activate them now.
Hey, the fort's gone. That sucks.
The Gravekeeper claims another tower.
You've lost this one, Raven Lord. It will not be your last.
You have done well, heroes. Let the Gravekeeper know my power.
See with your eyes.
Fort destroyed!
Danger.
The tower now belongs to
That's what this
me.
baby is built for.
Your time is ending, Raven Lord.
Wow, don't pull any punches or anything. Ooh, you're dead. Can I have your stereo? Who wants to sack this fort? Oh, there goes the fort. That's so neat. Pick a talent. Back to business. I can handle that.
The altars are rising, heroes.
You
Do get
are
ready.
terminated. Nope. Yeah. Way to go, guys. Top notch. Ah, the enemy destroyed a fort.
We have lost a tower.
So, we just lost a fort. I'm going.
Be swift, heroes. Do not let the Gravekeeper's cronies reach the altars before you. The altar is ours. Fire upon the Gravekeeper.
Let's grab
Guess
a merc
it's just
tank.
your time, pal. Hey, the fort's gone. That sucks. Not sure that's a lot of property damage. Why, what'd I miss? Who's looking over there? Oh, he just lost a fort.
It is nearly time.
Ah, the enemy destroyed a fort. Ah, you missed me? I'm going.
Take the altars and put an end to the Gravekeeper.
What? Servo's whirring.
Kael'thas held
Oh, you're
sway
dead.
in the
You'll
north,
get over it.
even as it was settled.
This realm turns against you.
Oh, that don't look good. You miss me? Huh? Oh, yeah, sure. Whatever.
Your time is ending, Ravenlord.
Our ally needs help.
Give him the clamps. Hey, we did it! I never doubted us. Woohoo! Kablamo! Hey, you,
I'm going
you don't need that wallet anymore, do ya? Actuators online. Oh, nice explosion! I give it an 8.
Was one of my favorite tales.
You are terminated. No?
Prepare yourselves, heroes. The altars rise.
Kill them all!
On my way, Chief.
The swamp.
Hey, the port's gone. That sucks. Oh, classic.
Kill confirmed.
I'm loving them heals.
The altars have risen. Activate them now.
That's what this baby is built for. Huh? Oh, yeah, sure. Hey, don't forget to check the pockets. What? Man, I'm good. Wow, don't pull any punches or anything.
Still worth it.
I bet that smarts. Looks like you could use a little goblin know-how, huh?
Pull it together, and let's get back in there.
This realm turns against you.
We should take this mercenary camp.
I'm okay, I'm okay. Looks like you could use a little goblin know-how. Oh, there goes a fort. That's so neat. No need to be pushy.
Defend the objective.
Servo's whirring.
I require assistance.
Hey, a port's gone. That sucks.
The altars are rising, heroes. Do get ready.
On top of it.
I require assistance. I require assistance.
Oh! He just lost the fort. Engage. Oh, they're still squirming. Hey, gross.
Lay claim to the altars. Do not disappoint me. I am lord of this realm, and it will not be stolen from...
Yeah, my favorite wood. I mean, other than money.
MVP.
So before you all head out, I just want to say thank you very much for watching this episode. I have been sick for like 5 weeks now. I have been I got a cold, and then in the middle of that cold I got like bronchitis or something, and I felt like total dog shit. I'm sure you could tell in some of the videos that I just had to record, and I started this video right when Bone Daddy Leoric came out, and it's only coming out now like 3 months later, and I'm sorry about that. Part of it is laziness, a part of it is I was sick, a part of it was just I don't know if I'm good enough at doing these longer type videos and all that. I know that I clearly have a lot to learn. I know that my editing isn't perfect. I am completely self-taught. I do this on my own, but I don't really care because today is my birthday. I have a September 6th is the video that I am demanding this video comes out, and I really do hope that you all enjoy it. And if you do reach the end for some reason, I really hope you leave a like. I really hope you subscribe. I really hope you leave a comment telling me anything. If you didn't like it, if you did like it, if I got something wrong, or if I got it all right, please let me know. That stuff is truly invaluable, and I can't truly express just how much that means to me. It really does. It always perks me up whenever I get a comment. I know I'm small, but I am growing very steadily and at a very comfortable pace. So until then, until my next bigger video, I hope you all have a wonderful time. I hope you'll have a wonderful time. Until next time we meet, I truly hope you have a fucking day. Peace.